Hey YouTube, this is Duelist Academy, aka Dav. Here doing a quick deck profile of my mermail deck that I took to Sheffield Regional this past weekend. I recorded a 8-0 win record, which is undefeated of course, and got first place. Only losing in 2 games in the entire tournament, going 2-1 those both games. Really good day out, really enjoyed it. I wasn't actually going to go at first, but then I ended up going. Took mermail. I originally was going to take dragon rollers, but due to a bit of test hands, I ended up swapping out last minute to mermail because I just felt more comfortable with the deck. And went pretty well. I'm going to do a quick deck profile for you guys to see what I ran. I hope you enjoy. So here we go then. As I went to original with this, I'm going to do a bit more detailed explanation than I normally would do. So, some of the other water monsters, we ran the one title. Title I would explain, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's a dragon ruler, they're the best cards in the game. Enough said. 2 Aqua Spirits, because rank 4s are amazing right now, and it just allows for extended combos. And then the Atlanteans I chose to run was 1 Dragoons, because it's just Dragoons, 3 Marksmen, because I hate back row, and the 1 Heavy Infantry, because cards like Kaiser Colosseum, I fear those sort of cards. I don't really like being locked down from the game. I like to be able to play. I ran 2 Megalo because I find lead to be an awful draw, although it would have been helpful in some situations, I have to be honest. 2 Megalo never felt really that dead. There's one game where I opened 2 and like nothing to discard, which did suck a little bit, but I drew myself out of that game and it went okay. 3 Tierce, as always, Tierce is amazing. Probably a little bit better now that we've got Soul Charge with the combos you can do, and I'll get into them a bit later on. The 3 Pike and the 2 Sturge, because I love the gun combo, I love the hill combo with these 2 cards, and just the overall play off each other just really helps, and then the ability to go into rank 4s faster is never bad. And Thunder King can bypass cards like Mistake and Thunder King, which Pike can't, which is really good. 3 Abyss Lind, because Abyss Lind is sick. She's just really, really good floater. Some players don't like her at 3. I think she's one of the best cards in the deck. The 1 Reborn, and then Hild. I've run Hild for like a year now, but it's become quite popular recently, so it's pretty standard. There's a few combos you can do with it that you couldn't do before, like Tears can discard any water, and you can add Pike, then Pike can discard the Hild, and you can add Ursha, and then Special Ursha, and you've got the 7-4-3 combo, which is really, really cool. And then a bit different of my build, this is like the major change that I made compared to everyone else at the event. I ran 2 Ursha and no Undime. The reason for this was I wanted to use the new spell card Soul Charge, and Ursha's ability with Tears and other mermails to combo off and get other mermails from the deck allowed me to thin the deck a lot faster than I normally would be able to. And that's the big thing, reason why I won, because I had the more plays of Soul Charge and a certain other card in my deck that just allowed me to combo off and extend plays and do things I normally wouldn't have to. And I've always found that going Ursha, target itself, get just a Mermail-based Lind, and that Lind can't be bottomless then, because it'll miss time. Bottomless would miss timing. And I always just think that's just amazing, because then the Lind has no out. We can just ram the Lind into one of their monsters and get a big beat stick out that it can't bottomless, which is in the damage step. So Ursha, just one of my favourite cards in the deck. I just think it has a utility that the deck needs, and I find it undying inconsistent. Originally I was running 2 of these, but I went to 3 MSTs. Last minute change, because I was going to test out Wiretap, but last minute I decided to run MSD because I saw a lot of Kaiser Colosseums being played, and I just any floodgate card annoys me, so yeah. And then 2 Soul Charge, because I felt 3 might be dead. And funny enough, I did take this deck to locals the next day, which went undefeated as well, but I ran 3 Soul Charge at that event, and I found that 3 Soul Charge did actually feel quite dead, and I opened multiples a bit too often for my liking. So I think for Mermail, 2 is probably the ideal number. Quick note, I didn't run Upstart Goblins in this specific build because, well, I do agree with the logic behind Upstart Goblin. Testing with this deck and Soul Charge legality, I don't think Mermails need it, and I think giving them the 1,000 life points for Soul Charge can be detrimental sometimes. In one of my rounds at the event, I was given 2,000 or 3,000 life points by one of my opponents using Upstarts, and that just gave me additional Soul Charge fodder, which I shouldn't have had, and that allowed me to win that game. Trap cards. I ran quite a few actually. I normally hate trap cards, but yeah. I ran 2 Breakthrough Skills. It's a player preference. I prefer it over Fiendish Chain, and that's all there really is to it. Yeah. The 1 Torrential, because Torrential is probably the best trap card in the game right now. or that or Solemn Warning. I found them both really, really strong. Combo decks, obviously the 3 Reckless Grades, because even just having the 1 makes a hand much better, usually. And skipping 2 draw phases in a deck like this doesn't really matter all that, especially with a card like Soul Change being in the deck. And then I ran 3 Abyss Sphere, because it's still 3 for some strange reason. And then I ran 2 other Abyss Spheres, because I just felt like it might be a good idea. And Call of the Hornets tested really, really well just for pushing it through and getting game and doing XYZ plays with it. So, yeah, I was surprised how good Call was. So, that's what I ran there. And then the extra deck. Oh, dear. Extra deck, here we go. Rank 3s, I ran the 1 Engineer for the combos. Engineer was amazing all day. Lever, I don't own a Ghost Trick Alucard, so I ran Lever over it. It didn't actually make much of a difference, but Lever actually won me 2 or 3 games just for combos you can do with it. The 2 Trike, because I like Trike, she's got a big ass. I made this once genuinely properly at the event by overlaying 3 monsters of an Ursha combo, and actually won me the game, shockingly enough. 1 Extinction Knight, because it's really, really good. I won like 3 or 4 games with this card, and I've not actually played it as much as I played it at the regional, so number 101, it's really, really good. Soul Charge into this with the Dragoons is amazing, because the Dragoons gets its effect. Diamond Direwolf, made this quite a lot. Gaga Cowboy for game pushes. Boo Hamid Shark for the combos. I ran 2 Dweller. Dweller's really good against dragons, and it's good against mermails, and it's good against things like random rogue things like zombies and like some dragons. But the big thing for me is that the 500 boost it gives to your field is a massive OTK pusher. I think twice at Sheffield and a few times at locals now I've pushed a game and they've allowed it to all go through, but not realised it's game because of the 500 boost. I seem to always forget about that a little bit. And then I played 1 Get Title from your deck, and that's what it's there for. Although a couple of times I have top decked with its effect, and then flipped a Reckless Greed to draw into what I've top decked, which is always a pretty cool thing to do. Number 11 Big Eye, I made it twice. It's a bit subpar because it takes quite a lot to make, and there's 2 better options in the deck, but sometimes it's just needed to be there to make. And then Draco Sack, and then Gaios. These 2 are amazing all day. With Soul Charge, if I can just explain to it real quick, with the normal combo you do with Bahamut Shark Engineer, if you Soul Charge the TS and the title into the field, you can make a Gaios on top of that combo, which is pretty cool. And something I did twice, possibly 3 times at the event, is I would go TS title, make Draco Sack, detach, get tokens, tribute the Draco Sack, pop a card in their field, then I would Soul Charge back the Draco Sack, the TS, the title. Draco Sack would then pop another card by tributing another token, and I could overlay to a Gaios on the board as well. At the time, I actually realised this as I was playing, and I actually did think to myself, I probably should have ran a second Draco Sack, because that would have been a really nice thing to have at some of those points where you can just Soul Charge those 2 guys back. And then my side deck, I'll have to say, my side deck is probably the weakest part of this deck, because it wasn't very well planned. It was just sort of a case of, I don't want to lose to such and such, so I'll run these. Any deck that swarms, like mermail or dragons. Any deck that relies on the graveyard, Boojins, dragons. Or any deck with a field spell, like spellbooks or gravekeepers that I would struggle to get rid of. 2 Encores, good floodgate monster called Pallades and Ophion are annoying. I took 2 creature swap. I'll explain this. Creature swap's, in my opinion, one of the best side decks you can run, because there are certain decks out there like Noble Knights and Boojins, Light Swans, which run big powerful cards that if you can take off them, you can win the game. And Boojin players and Noble Knight players, from what I've seen, against the mermail player, unless you're called Stu, will normally side out your lances, and then the swap just wrecks that player. And I did that in 2 different Boojin matchups where the player just sided out their lances. I told them that's the game, that's why I do it, and they both agreed that they sided out the lances because they didn't think they need them. And then you give them Lind, and by giving them Lind, it just creates a load of problems for them. 2 Dust Tornadoes because back row's annoying. 2 Roar the Creek because back row's really annoying. And then I ran, at the last 2 filler slots, I ran 2 Light Prisms because I saw a lot of Boojin players, and I saw a couple of Light Swan players, and I saw a couple of Constellar players, and I thought they might come in handy. I did decide them in 4 different matchups. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good call at the last minute. as for my rounds, round 1 I played against Boojans. I won that 2-0, and I won game 1 because I just blew out and killed him really fast. And then game 2 I won because I had creature swap against his Yamato, and I gave him a Lind, and then that advantage just steamrolled me for the game. Round 2, bear with me because this was a couple of days ago now. I want to remember my rounds off the top of my head. I believe was a Fire Fist player, and that game ended 2-0 to me. And it was just the same thing. Game 1 I blew him out, and game 2 was a bit back and forth grindy. And I think I put a Decree and have a Tias, and that player just wins the game. Round 3, I think it's an Infinity player, and he kind of annoyed me because he called me an idiot with Pike because he had a bit of an issue with how I wanted to do the effect. Pike activates and resolves, and then the Atlantean triggers add a new chain, and he didn't agree with that ruling, and that kind of threw him off. And then in game 2, he didn't know Extinction Knight was a quick effect, despite the card saying it, and called the judge over. Kind of embarrassing on his part. That's me up to 3-0, and then round 4, I played a Fire King player. Nice guy. I had a really fun game with this guy. I've never really played against Vikings before, so it was an entertaining match, and I won that game 2-0. It's quite funny though, because in the actual game when we were playing, we had a big crowd watching us at this time, and I ripped Soul Charge twice off the top of my deck to win the game. Yeah, it's a bit of a dick move, really. And then round 5, I played against a Constellar player, and this is the first ever time I've played a Constellar player, other than like 1 or 2 people, where I've generally thought of a really good Constellar player. He, I couldn't give him more credit than he just knew how to play the deck really, really well. Like at one point, I went to clear the board, and instead of bouncing his own playdays, he bounced his 10 key, so he'd have a follow-up play next turn, and that was just, to me, that's just a really good. The entire game was really, really good, and I won that game through just a complete misplay on his part, and it won me the game. Going into round 6, I play against an Evil Swarm player. Game's quite back and forth. I get combos off, he gets combos off, and I think I just end up beating him down with more monsters than he has. And then in game 3 of this game, I have a Torrential Tribute for his cat, that triggers my Lind, and that just steamrolls me to the victory again. Again, really fun game, really enjoyed it. And then round 7, I played against a Harpy player, and that was probably the funnest game of the event. We both misplayed quite a bit in that game, to be honest. We both made a few errors. And the defining part of that match was he flipped a Fiendish Chain on my Bahamut as I went for an attack, and I chained Dustinator to target the Fiendish Chain, and he chained Trapstone to stop my Dustinator, forgetting that I also stopped his Fiendish Chain, which meant Bahamut got his attack through and got to detach for the effect, which gave me the board presence I needed to win the game. The last round, I think it's a Boojin player, and this is the player that he set it out his Lancers, and I said in creature swap, and the creature swap is what won me the game. It just gave me that point of advantage, and he couldn't come back from that. And that was the entire tournament, and I won. I got a Gravekeeper's playmat, that's for trade or sale. A box of dragons, they're doing more soul charge in it, yay me. And a deck box that's for trade as well, one of these things. If anyone wants it. So that's my deck profile. Let me know what you think, guys, and comment in the bottom, and subscribe if you can. I'll be uploading some more content, hopefully. I'm pretty lazy when it comes down to YouTube. Bye!